Welcome to Ignite Success, where we highlight leaders who are making a big impact both locally and worldwide. I'm Morgan Young, and today I'm joined by RAJA MARHABA with the Jonathan Foundation for Children with Learning Disabilities. RAJA, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. So if you will, give us a little bit about what everything goes on at the Jonathan Foundation for Children with Learning Disabilities.
The Jonathan Foundation is a nonprofit that was formed through my significant extreme trials and tribulations trying to advocate for my own two children that are special needs. They're considered twice exceptional. They're highly gifted, meaning their IQ is off the charts, but they have learning challenges. And I've been doing this since 27 plus years back, but I went through 8 years of hell with the school system and due process and hearing. And after my family endured the hardship, I didn't want any other family to go through what my family went through. And I decided to create a nonprofit to support families that have children with special needs.
Well, beautiful. And it's always hard to hear that you have to go through that hard struggle, but it does create that success for other families who didn't have the same, or who have the same issues, but now they have these resources. So will you tell us about the resources that you provide?
The Jonathan Foundation raises money for psychoeducational assessments and other assessments to test the child to see what the strengths and the deficits are, and to go to the school district with a report from a neuropsychologist or a psychologist that they end up testing the child. We fund the assessment process, and then they write a 30-40 page report with a diagnosis, recommendations, what they've seen in the school, what works and what may have not worked, and what they feel should be happening at the school site. And then they attend, it's called an individual education plan meeting, an IEP. And an advocate would normally attend the IEP with the families. If the family doesn't have an advocate, the Jonathan Foundation will try to find one for them and help advocate for services based on the recommendation from the psychologist or the neuropsychologist via their report. And then we also do advocacy for families, and we do public awareness so that we can let the word out there and let people know there is help. They're not alone. 27 years ago, we didn't have Google. We didn't have the social media we have today, the platforms, and it was very difficult for me to try to get information and navigate. And I refer to it as a national broken special education system.
Yeah, you're exactly right. There's definitely a lot of challenges within that system and the education system as a whole. So thank you for all that you're doing. So what are some of those challenges that you've dealt with that caused you to start this company, this nonprofit?
Many years ago, it started with my son, Jonathan, and then continued with my son, Omar. I had no idea that both children had learning challenges. And in the beginning, I let the school do whatever they recommended. I just went along with it because I was a novice mom and I did not know any better. And as the years went by, my son regressed. And the more he regressed, the more I tried to fight, and the more they would tell me he's doing fine, to the degree where he just one year decided he wasn't going to read anymore. And that's kind of where the turning point was. He has severe dyslexia, he has amblyopia, he OCD, ADHD, but he's highly gifted. And so can you imagine a 5-6-year-old kid that has a very high IQ, and they know they're smart within the confinements of their own mind and body, but they can't express themselves that, hey, I'm stuck in this gear. I don't know why I'm not learning, but I'm super smart. And then, you start having behavioral problems and self-esteem issues, and regression kicks in, and the school wouldn't do what they needed to do for my son to put the right services in place and the programs to help him. And as time went on, I started to educate myself and realized there are resources out there, but I had to go to like the libraries. I didn't know there were attorneys. I didn't know there were assessors. Back then, 27 years plus ago, they didn't have all the resources available to the parents, and they did not want the parents to speak with other parents who had children with special needs, because then those parents would want to go and get more services for their children as well. And that's kind of how everything started, and it compounded as the years went forward. I received a lot of resistance from the school not to provide services for Jonathan. And later on, I was told by my son Omar's teacher that he's having problems as well. And then that compounded my situation. So I ended up having 2 children with very different problems, learning problems differently. Jonathan was dyslexic. Omar had significant writing and vocabulary deficits, and he also dealt with depression. So that kind of threw a curveball for me. And it was just hard to get information. And because of that, I learned, I read, I did everything I can to educate myself so that I can advocate better for my children.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for all that you're doing with the Jonathan Foundation. I know that it probably means a lot to him and Omar that you're doing this to help so many others. And in one quick sentence, how would you define success?
Knowledge is power, education.
Absolutely.
I wish I had me 27 years ago. I didn't have me. Had I had me, I probably would not have gone through all that I've gone through with my family in the district.
I bet. I can imagine. Well, thank you again for everything that you're doing for these upcoming superheroes of the world, I call them, because they are genius and they are transforming the world day by day. So thank you again.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes. And thank you, viewers, for tuning in to another episode of Ignite Success. I hope that you've gotten some value from this. If you want more information on the Jonathan Foundation, you can head on over to thedailynewsnetwork.com. And we'll see you in the next episode of Ignite Success.